Alright, back again with another Blu-ray collection video. This time I'll go through Eureka Entertainment, which is another British Blu-ray company, like boutique Blu-ray company. They release all kinds of movies. I guess in terms of overall quality, they're probably the second one after Criterion. Just in terms of like the quality of the movies. So lots of classic directors, lots of all-time great movies. Starting off with a couple of limited editions. I don't have that many limited editions from Eureka. Also, I don't have that many of the old releases. Many of them are quite new that I have here. But yeah, starting off with Vampire by Carl Theodor Dreyer. One of the great. I do have the J card, but it's stored here inside the case. One of the all-time great directors and one of the all-time great horror movies as well. Silent era horror movie, great visuals. Definitely worth checking out for anyone who's into horror movies. See the early days. This is from 1932. So a bit later than Nosferatu, for example, but yeah. Does have a very thick booklet. I'm not going to flip, as always, I'm not going to flip through the whole booklets. I start from the last page and I do go through them a little bit. Just incredible imagery. Looks better than pretty much anything that is released today, which is quite alarming, I would say. So yeah, there's production stills and there's some writing as well. If you want to read the writing, get a copy of this for yourself. Right? So I'm not going to show all of the booklets. It would take hours upon hours upon hours. So there you go. That's Vampire. And then moving on to something completely different, we have Valley Girl with Nicolas Cage in it. Now this is an obnoxious movie. Holy shit. In all of the, I mean that, well, I don't know if you can call something obnoxious and then say that it's a positive for the movie, but I wasn't expecting anything other than this. It is amusing, kind of. It's also really annoying. It's a teenage drama with a young Nicolas Cage in it. I don't know why Nicolas Cage was thought of as like a heartthrob after this. Like, he looks like a freaking dork here. But yeah, this is one of the early Nicolas Cage movies. Has a nice pink design. Well, the characters are just, California teenagers, and they are exactly what you would expect from a California teenager. The way they speak, the way they act, everything. I don't know how accurate the portrayal is, but that's, from movies, like, this is the image you get from this is what you think of when you think of Californian teenagers. Like, this movie, everything about it is so 90s as well. It's from 83, so it's an 80s movie. It felt like a 90s movie. Well, there you go. I was wrong about that as well. Wrong again, like I usually am. Right, and then a third limited edition, The African Queen with Humphrey Bogart. Well, this J card is on the loose. from 1951, directed by John Huston. One of Humphrey Bogart's best movies, definitely. And the artwork is just insanely good. Also this green one. Humphrey Bogart is on a boat, and the boat is called the African Queen. He's in Africa with this woman going up a river. And that's the movie. It's very exciting. Some early special effects as well. There are some mosquitoes in this movie. Like that effect hasn't aged well, but I appreciate the effort. Some nice miniature special effects as well. The boat getting wrecked and everything like that. Yeah, The African Queen, a classic movie from the 50s. Great performances. There's a great scene in this movie where Humphrey Bogart is impersonating a hippo. So look forward to that if you watch this movie. Look forward to the hippo impersonation. It's great. There you go. African Queen. Then some slipcovers. Now, some of these, as you can tell from the spine, some of these are Masters of Cinema, so they are numbered. And some of them are not. Like Valley Girl is obviously not a Masters of Cinema line movie. Well, it could be, but yeah. So this is, again, one of those ones that isn't. Eureka do release quite a few horror movies as well. So this is one of the more modern horror movies. This is Breeder by Jens Dahl. I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. It's a strange mix of, as it says here, like French New Extreme style of thing, and then this like Nordic pulp fiction, like Nordic detective story feel. If you watch any TV series or movie from Norway, Sweden, Denmark that has this like police procedural thing going on, or like a serial killer movie, like this is exactly what you would expect that to be. The way it looks, the lighting, everything is gray, and the plot moves exactly like you would expect. So there's Breeder from 2020. It's still worth watching. It's not awful by any means, but no, not that great. Right. Then we have a collection of horror movies, creeping horror. These are from 30s, I guess, and 40s maybe. Does it say here on the cover? These are old. Yeah, these are from the 1930s and 40s. So first up we have Murders in the Zoo. Oh, there are 4 movies, not 3 movies. Sometimes these have 3, sometimes they have 4 movies in them. So yeah. Murders in a Zoo. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Maybe even a bit more than I should have. It does have real animals in it, like tigers and lions and crocodiles and everything. So always appreciate it in these older horror movies when they have these real animals that are used to create some tension. So yeah, Murders in the Zoo. It's a guy who goes mad, and there's a love story in there, and he tries to kill people because he's jealous, and he uses zoo animals to do it. And yeah, there's a scene in this movie where a woman is thrown into a crocodile pit. So this was definitely before the censorship wave in Hollywood. And some of these early Hollywood horror movies are surprisingly gruesome, especially the ones before the code and everything, like when they cleaned up the stuff in the 1940s. So yeah. This collection, like these old Hollywood horror movie collections. I've watched quite a few of these from Eureka. More to come up in just a moment. I've always kind of enjoyed them. Murders in the Zoo, I think, is the highlight here for me. Night Monster, I can't even remember what that is. Does it say on the back? No. Then Horror Island, that's your typical hidden treasure. We go to an island on a boat and we're stuck there on the island and there's a killer loose and there's a treasure, like that sort of story. Quite enjoyable as well. And House of Horrors, again, I can't remember anything about it, so. Some movies there that are quite memorable, some of them not so much. Now, this is memorable. Sergio Corbucci's Il Grande Silenzio, The Great Silence, featuring Jean-Louis Trintignant and Klaus Kinski. I'm guessing wasn't there also... there's a score by Ennio Morricone, of course. Wasn't there... Oh, it doesn't say here on the back. Isn't the guy from the... Well, I guess he isn't here. I'm mistaking this with... Oh yeah, I'm mistaking this with The Big Gun Down. Like some of the actors, not the movie. This is an all-time great Western, spaghetti Western. Probably my favorite of all time from this genre. Even like I enjoy this even more than something like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So there's that. Maybe a controversial opinion, I don't know, but this is just like perfection. An hour and 45 minutes of perfection. This reminds me a lot of the opening section of Red Dead Redemption 2. I wouldn't be surprised if this was an actual inspiration for that game as well. This is mostly shot, well, there's bare breasts, of course. This was shot in the snowy mountainside. Just an incredible accomplishment to even film something in that environment. Snow everywhere, snowstorms, everything like that. Oh yeah, there are some production stills as well, art cards. Yeah. Just an all-time great classic spaghetti western. Klaus Kinski is a psychotic killer, like he usually is in movies. And Trintignant is there's one more. Trintignant is a bounty hunter of some sort, a silent killer, which goes around getting the criminals. It's great. Do yourself a favor. If you like westerns and you've never seen this one, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's great. Incredible movie. Right. Then we have Night of the Creeps, a fun little horror movie from the 1980s, directed by Fred Decker. It's about, well, you can probably guess from the title what it's all about. There's a town, and the people of the town become zombies. There's also this rabbit or cat or whatever that is. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, there's this actor. I can't remember. I never remember his name, but he's great. He's in a lot of stuff. He's always the police officer or private detective or something who doesn't want to get sucked into the storyline, but then he does and he saves the day. Great guy. Next up, we have two silent films by John Ford. These are very early westerns from 1917 and 1918. Straight Shooting and Hellbent. Now, I can't remember which one is which, and that is a problem. Because one of them I really enjoyed, and one of them was kind of just like okay. But incredible visuals. Again, these early silent movies, they are an acquired taste, but if you get into it, like this is insanely good stuff, especially considering all the limitations that they had when filming these and so on. Really good stuff. So if you want to watch very early westerns, there you go. There's no one better than John Ford. Why is this not cooperating with me? Yeah, these movies are exactly what you would expect, like cowboys and Indians. Just, silent movies with that basic idea. Right. Then another, quite an early horror movie from 1932, The Most Dangerous Game. It's not really... When you talk about horror movies and the 1930s and 20s, with modern standards, do they hold up? Not really, but this is more of an adventure movie as well. Like Vampire is a straight up horror movie. But yeah, The Most Dangerous Game. It's a very famous short story. Lots of movies made of this story. So you have these hunters who get washed on the shores of this island after a shipwreck. Or I guess one hunter, the other ones die, but yeah, one guy makes it, and there's this guy on the island who hunts the most dangerous game, which, surprise, surprise, is humans. So you get this cat and mouse hunting battle with the bad guy hunter and the good guy hunter and stuff like that. So I enjoy this one a lot. I haven't seen any of the other versions of this story, any of the other movies. Yeah, this one I did enjoy quite a bit. Very detailed sets in the jungle, probably used in some other movie as well. Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, the jungle looks great in this one. And it's just a perfect length for this sort of a story. How long is this? 63 minutes, so just an hour. That's a good length for this sort of very basic storyline. Right, and then we have here The Passion of Joan of Arc, again by Dreyer, the director of Vampire. This is from 1928. One of the all-time classics of European cinema. Has a great performance by the main actor. What is her name? Falconet or something like that? Maria Falconetti, yeah. Great actor. A silent movie about the trial and execution of Joan of Arc. One of the most gorgeous looking movies of all time. Let's see if we have some visuals here to prove that. Yeah, stuff like this. What else? There's Falconetti. So, I mean, if you are looking into watching some silent movies, you don't know where to start, I guess Passion of Joan of Arc is one of the best places to start. I think this was the first, Nosferatu, the original Nosferatu, which I don't have in a collection, by the way. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times, but I don't own it. Nosferatu was the first silent movie I've ever watched. And I guess this was the second one. And I mean, those are probably the 2 best ones. Right, it's my favorites, so not a bad place to start. And then we have another horror collection here, Universal Terror, with 3 Boris Karloff movies in them: Night Key, The Climax, and The Black Castle. and I remember enjoying all of this quite a bit. Night Key is your it's this 1930s version of like high concept movies. So you have this very clear like one idea that everything is centered around. So Night Key, you have this guy. There's some damage to the booklet. No, that's what it is. What it is. So in Night Key, you have this guy who is an inventor whose inventions are getting stolen, and he wants to pay back. So he has this system where he can disarm security systems, and he uses a thief to get back with his enemies to burglarize stores. And I guess that movie, like out of all of these three, that one is the one that I enjoyed the most. Then we have the climax, which is basically a Phantom of the Opera ripoff. It's all right. It's not as bad as people say. I was quite surprised how negative the reception of that movie was. I mean, it is just Phantom of the Opera with Boris Karloff in it, but I thought it was fine. And then the Black Castle, you have this gothic style horror movie, as you would expect. Like if it's 1930s, 1940s, there's a castle. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with the people who will live in the castle, obviously. So, yeah, some old school Universal horror movies, right? And then some of the just standard editions. First up, Acatone by Pasolini, a movie about a pimp and his prostitute. Wasn't a huge fan of this one, I have to say. I'm not going to flip through all of the booklets. I mean, yeah, I'll maybe do it with, if there's something that has really great visuals, I'll try to illustrate that, but I'll move forward quite quickly from this point on. So, yeah, Acatone by Pasolini. It's an alright. Like it's viewed as a classic, but I don't know. Just couldn't get into it. However, Billy Wilder's Ace in a Hole, what an absolute masterpiece. It's a movie about a journalist who is using some quite peculiar tactics to get a story done. Kirk Douglas in this movie, probably a top 10 of all time acting performances, just by anyone. Incredible stuff. Then another Billy Wilder movie, The Lost Weekend, which has it has Ray Milland as the main guy, the guy who directed Panic in Year Zero later on in his career. So yeah, The Lost Weekend, great movie about alcoholism. Then we have Walter Hill's Hard Times, which is a Charles Bronson bare knuckle boxing movie. Pretty good stuff. Walter Hill, great director. Always liked his stuff. Next up, some more classic horror stuff. Island of Lost Souls, which is an adaptation of H.G. Wells's story, like the Island of Dr. Moreau. This one, in the booklet, as you can see, Dr. Moreau has some interesting experiments going on. Yeah, 1930s horror movies. This one I enjoyed quite a bit as well. I really like this. This is a good adaptation of the story. One of the better ones, certainly. There are a lot of movies that have been made of this story. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the actor, the bad guy here, but he's an underrated actor. Charles Laughton. Charles Laughton, underrated guy, this guy. Usually plays a bad guy in the movies. He has the perfect face for it. Right, something a bit more modern. Lucky, starring Harry Dean Stanton, rest in peace. The performance of a lifetime. Well, he had a lifetime worth of performances of a lifetime. Paris, Texas is probably the best one. And then some of the David Lynch stuff. Alien, of course. Just a great guy. This also has David Lynch as an actor in it. He is in a bar and has some great scenes. So, yeah, Lucky from, when was this? 2015 maybe? Does it say? 2016. Just a great American movie. With great actors. Then I have Punishment Park by Peter Watkins. Wasn't a huge fan of this movie. It's very preachy. It has this activist style to it that is quite obnoxious. People are just screaming at the screen at the top of their lungs. It's annoying. And then everyone gets shot in the end. So, spoilers. I guess the content matter is so shocking, I guess, that it's considered a classic, but I don't know. Right. However, a movie that is a classic, definitely, Stalag 17, another movie by Billy Wilder, who is one of the all-time great directors, definitely. This is a prison camp movie, also a comedy. It's a dark comedy, I would say. Thoroughly enjoyable. Then we have here Stanley Kramer's The Defiant Ones. Oh, this isn't a Masters of Cinema movie. I would think that this would be a Masters of Cinema movie, but I guess it isn't. Classic movie with Tony Curtis and Sidney Poitier, who are shackled to one another. They had a chance to escape from prison, and they took it and ran. And now they are shackled and being hunted by the police, and the dogs are coming after them. So, The Defiant Ones, one of the better Sidney Poitier movies, in my opinion. Right, James Whale and The Dark House. This is a Boris Karloff horror movie, again from the 1930s. This one was maybe a bit disappointed by. It was supposed to be one of the best 1930s horror movies. It's by the director of Frankenstein, but I mean, this is nowhere near as good as Frankenstein, I don't think. It's your very typical, it's a stormy night, and we are in a mansion, and there is some weird stuff going on in the mansion. Right. Orson Welles, The Touch of Evil. This is the 2-disc limited edition. Why was I thinking that there would be 3 discs? But yeah, this has the reconstructed version. So this is one of those movies that was completely butchered by producers, and this one has the restored version of the movie that is as close to the original ideas of Orson Welles as possible. So yeah, it's a movie about police, corruption, and all kinds of good stuff. Great movie by a great director. Right, and then I have this one. Oh yeah, so Breeder was a part of this same line. So it's Montage Pictures. So it's kind of Eureka Entertainment, but it's like a sister label under them or whatever. So yeah, I have a couple of these Montage movies, Breeder and this one. Also a third one that's in my backlog, so that will be in the second part of this collection. Sons of Denmark, probably the worst movie I've seen by Eureka. It's a very generic and just what you would expect take on immigration in Europe, and it's by Ulla Salim, and you can see that in the movie. It's not good. The ending, it has one of the worst endings to a movie I've ever seen. Just an absolutely pathetic ending. So dumb. So dumb. All right, let's move on from that and let's get into some good stuff. So, as usual, like these were the non-Asian Eureka Blu-rays that I've watched. I have a bunch more in my backlog. I'll go through those in the next video. But now I have all the Asian stuff here. So, Asian movies that I've watched. Starting off with Japan. Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure. One of the best serial killer movies of all time. They recently released a 4K of this, but I don't need 4K in my life. I can do it Blu-ray, so this is the old Blu-ray release. Such a bizarre and unique movie. Very slow, very gruesome. There's nothing really like it. I should rewatch this, because when I first watched it, I was so hyped up for it by all the people who love this movie that I was kind of underwhelmed by it. But it's one of those movies that just stays with you, and you keep thinking about it months and even years after watching it. So I should really rewatch it. It's probably even better than I remember. Then we have Message from Space. Yeah, Kinji Fukasaku, the director of Battle Royale. A Japanese Star Wars killer. It didn't kill anything really. It's bad. It's really bad. It's really bad, but it's also funny. Right. Then we have Hideo Gosha and Samurai Wolf 1 and 2. So a double pack of samurai movies from the 1960s. They were all right. It's like this is like the B tier samurai movies of that era. There are some better ones coming up quite soon, but yeah, this is the B tier of the classic era of samurai movies. They're kind of fun. Like they're more like action movies than your typical Kurosawa samurai movies. And Hideo Gosha as a director is great. Right. Then we have Tero Ishii and Prison Walls. So this is a collection of the first 3 Abashiri prison movies. I think there are like 15 or 17 of these movies. So these are just the first 3. The first one, a classic prison escape movie. The second and third ones, they aren't any prison movies anymore. So after the main character Kento Takakura escapes from the prison, the second and third movies just follow his life after getting out of prison. So some people enjoy the third movie the best. I don't know why. Let's shift the camera a little bit. I don't know why people feel so strongly about the third movie in particular, because I think the first one is by far the best in the series. The second and third ones are kind of like, I don't know, weird. There are same actors from the first movie, but they are playing different characters. But some of the characters are played by the same actors, and they are the same characters. So strange. Yeah, they're more straight up like your typical Japanese crime movies, the second and third ones. Right, some more Ken Takakura, The Bullet Train. Clearly an inspiration on the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves later on. So there's a train, there's a bomb on a train, and a race against time to find it and defuse it. Good stuff. Maybe a bit too long. I guess this is like 2.5 hours, maybe. Yeah, almost 2.5 hours. And then we have Hideo Gosha's Violent Streets, a Yakuza movie that I thought was quite mediocre, not that great, but yeah, there you go, Violent Streets. Not much more to say about that. Then we get to the really good stuff. So first up, we have Harakiri, still sealed. I've seen this, so maybe I'll unbox it at some point and watch it again, but a top 10 of all time movie for me. One of the greatest scripts ever written. One of the greatest revenge movies as well. And if you think that Old Boy is a good revenge movie, watch Harakiri. It's even better. By Masaki Kobayashi. It's a samurai revenge tale. Right. A fantastic modern Japanese movie from 2016, Harmonium. This is a brutal movie. Really, really nihilistic and dark. It's about a guy who visits an old friend and asks for a favor to stay there. And, well, you probably shouldn't let half strangers live in your house. Let's just put it that way. Harmonium, great movie. One of the greatest horror movies of all time, Nobuhiko Obayashi's Hausu. Just a bizarre movie. Unforgettable, as the back cover says. Has some of the strangest visuals you will ever see in a movie. Not just a horror movie, but just any movie. You have a bunch of women who go into this house and weird stuff happens. It's from the 1970s. I should rewatch this. It's such a long time. Yeah, there's the famous scene of the woman getting eaten by the piano. Incredible special effects, especially for the time. And Obayashi's his movies look so good. This isn't the only one. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time also has similar. The visual, like one scene you are watching a woman getting eaten by a piano, and then you get something like this. It's a wild ride. So yeah, Hausu, great stuff. Next up we have Kuroneko by Kaneto Shindo, and I also have Onibaba by the same director here coming up next. So these are classic horror movies from the 1960s. Kuroneko, The Tale of the Ghost Cat. Just an incredible movie. I keep saying the same things over and over again, but well, what else can you say? It is incredible. If it is incredible, it's incredible. And the great thing about Eureka is that they do release, like, for every Sons of Denmark or Breeder, they do release a Kuroneko or something like similar to that. So there's a good mixture of modern, maybe not great movies, but something that's like interesting and maybe worth watching. Someone will find something to appreciate there. And then they have these all-time classic movies like Harakiri and Kuroneko, Ace in a Hole, this type of stuff. So yeah, Onibaba is still sealed. But yeah, it's another horror movie. It's a like a ghost, like a vengeful ghost story from 1964. So quite an early one as well. These women are killed by raiders and they come back as ghosts to haunt the raiders. Then we have a modern classic by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. A director who is all over the place. This is by far, I think, his best movie. Some would probably say Cure. It's by the same director, but Tokyo Sonata is such a beautiful movie about a family, a man who loses his job and just cannot accept it. he pretends that he still has the job and just every morning goes out with the suitcase and suit on and just goes into a park with homeless people, hang out there. And the son who plays the piano, the final scene where he plays, what song does he play? Clair de Lune, I think. Yeah, he plays Clair de Lune by Debussy. What an incredible scene. If you are not interested in watching the whole movie, just go to YouTube and look up the final scene for Tokyo Sonata. It's fantastic. Then we have an early samurai movie, Gate of Hell. This is from 1953. Yeah. I think the first third of the movie is more interesting than the rest. It starts off with this rebellion storyline. You have this tale of betrayal and rebellion, and then the second part of the movie is just this one guy trying to steal another man's wife, basically. So yeah, I enjoyed the rebellion part of quite a bit. Very interesting stuff, but yeah, it turns into this weird love triangle story. Right, 2 more Japanese movies here. We got Shogun Assassin. What an incredible movie! It's technically this is an American movie because it's a re-edit by Robert Houston of 2 of the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, just smacked into one, and has an English voiceover that is incredible. I always watch Japanese movies and Hong Kong movies with the original voice acting. I never use the English voice acting, but for this one, this is perfect. It's so cheesy and fun and just incredible. It's just an action scene after action scene after action scene after action scene. Blood flying everywhere. It's great. Shogun Assassin, highly recommended. Right, and then lastly, for the Japanese stuff, I have one animation movie here. So Eureka sometimes releases animations as well. We have here Osamu Tezuka's Metropolis, which is a 2001 kind of like a cyberpunk style animation movie. Didn't come with the booklet, which sucks, but yeah. Sometimes these don't have booklets, sometimes they do. It's annoying. You can't really know what you will get, but well, there's that, Metropolis. Then Hong Kong. I have a separate stack here for Hong Kong movies. Starting off with Jackie Chan's Police Story 1 and 2. The first one is my favorite in the series, and also one of my favorite action movies of all time. A top 5 action movie for me. Maybe a bit of a generic pick because there are so many Hong Kong action movies, but you can't deny the greatness of something like Police Story. Just the opening section of the movie where they are driving through the shanty town. The stunt work in this movie is insanely good. Yeah, and then there's the sequel. I don't really remember anything about the sequel other than that it was just more of them. Oh yeah, it has Maggie Cheung in it. That's cool. Yeah, the first one does as well. It's this typical Hong Kong style of action movie where you have like most of the movie is this gritty action. People are shooting at each other, jumping onto like moving cars and everything like that. And then the whole movie stops and there's this romantic comedy bit in the middle of it. And for some reason it works. I don't know why. It always works. So yeah, there's Police Story. Let's put it like this here. And then I have Project A 1 and 2 in this just standard release. some more Jackie Chan movies. Good stuff. If I remember correctly, there's also Sammo Hung somewhere in this. Yes, Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao. Cool. Some good stuff. Then, so for something completely different, From Beijing with Love, directed by Stephen Chow. So you know, like Stephen Chow, if you hear that name, you know that you're in for some dumb shit. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, this is one of the dumbest movies I think I have in the whole collection. Like, out of everything I own, this is one of the dumbest movies. But it's also hilarious. So you have Stephen Chow here playing a Hong Kong version of James Bond, and he is completely inept. I mean, he isn't really a spy or like this secret agent anyway. He's just some guy who works at a butcher shop, who ends up just getting into this line of work. Or maybe the butcher work was like a cover for his real identity. I don't freaking know. But it seemed like he was better at the butcher work than being a spy, so there's that. Right. Next up, we have Black Mask, with Jet Li in it. I don't know what I should think about Jet Li. Sometimes his movies are great, sometimes his movies are just kind of mediocre. So, but yeah, Black Mask I enjoyed quite a bit. There's the villain here is hilarious. It's this guy with the long hair. Where is he? There he is. This guy. I always get a smile on my face when I see this guy on screen because he looks so freaking funny. Yeah. It's a Hong Kong superhero movie. The mask looks like low quality cardboard. That's also a compliment, I guess. It's really cheap. It's really cheap but entertaining. Right. Then we have a great one. Dreadnought by Yuan Wu Ping. Great director who worked also on... What did he do? Did he direct Tiger Cage? I guess he did, if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching some Yuan Wu Ping movies just recently. I guess it's Tiger Cage. Right. So Dreadnought. One of my favorite martial arts movies of all time, definitely. Yeah, this was the choreographer for Matrix and Crouching Tiger, so a pretty well-known guy. This has some of the most incredible fighting scenes in any Hong Kong movies or any action movies. It has these traditional dragon costumes that are operated by two people, like these ones. And the fighting scenes, most of them are in with people inside those costumes. So you have these fight scenes where these 2 versus 2 dragon battles are happening. They are absolutely insane. The choreography especially is really good. Unfortunately, there weren't that many pictures of those dragon costumes here, but well, what can you do? Dreadnought, definitely worth watching. Has Yuan Biao in it and also Leon Karajan, who is underrated. This guy. Right, then I have a sealed copy of Future Cops. I've seen this movie maybe 15 years ago, or at least 10 years ago. It's a Hong Kong ripoff of Street Fighter, the video game series. Has Andy Lau in it. Yeah, and just a bunch of people. Also has Jackie Cheung, not Jackie Chan, but Jackie Cheung in it. Simon Yam, really good cast. This is limited to 1,000. It was sold out before it was even released, so I'm happy that I got a pre-order copy of it. I'll probably keep it sealed because it's quite collectible and expensive already. But yeah, definitely a movie worth watching. It's really funny, genuinely funny. Right, then we have a triple pack of Jet Li movies: The Enforcer, Dr. Wayne in the Scripture with No Words, and Hitman. Out of these movies, the first one, The Enforcer, is definitely my favorite, also known as My Father is a Hero. It has this really cheesy father-son storyline going on. But the funny thing about this is that the son is also a kung fu master, and he's a badass. So that's kind of funny. There's a great scene in the first movie where they are fighting on this fountain that has this glass, glass, like a glass panel thing with water flowing down it. You know, if you know what I mean. Is there a picture of it here? Probably not. And that fight scene alone makes The Enforcer by far my favorite out of these three movies. Hitman was just kind of mediocre, and then The Scripture with No Words, just a completely forgettable Indiana Jones ripoff. So yeah, not sure if this is as a triple pack, if this is really worth getting, but the first movie is really good. So there's that. Right, Mad Detective. This is an early one. This is Masters of Cinema number 2, directed by Johnny To, who is one of my favorite Hong Kong directors. Absolutely. And this is from 2007. A detective, surprise, surprise, detective movie about this guy who can visualize stuff that isn't there. And the booklet doesn't do this any justice. So the booklet is quite underwhelming, but it's a very novel idea, very interesting idea. This detective who can see things that other people can't see seems like a complete madman. So yeah, there you go, Mad Detective, great Hong Kong movie. Another great Hong Kong movie, One-Armed Boxer, with Jimmy Wang Yu as the main actor. And it's exactly what you would expect. There's this guy, he gets his hand chopped off and he becomes the one-armed boxer. High recommendation for this one. Has a ridiculous fight scene against a handstanding Indian. And it is as ridiculous as it sounds. Yeah. One-Armed Boxer, do yourself a favor, watch this movie. You will not be disappointed. Next up, we have a double pack. Running Out of Time 1 and 2. The second movie I thought was just complete garbage. It is a cash grab. The first one was quite a successful movie, has Andy Lau in it, again directed by Johnny To. The first movie is really fun, has some clear Die Hard vibes in it. There's this guy who is just constantly toying with the police and moving through vents and everything. Extremely fun and entertaining movie. The first one. The second one I don't really remember much about. I mean, it was a complete afterthought for everyone who worked on it. But the first one is definitely worth watching. And then probably my favorite out of these Johnny To movies, there's still one more to come after this, I think. This is PTU, which is basically, it's like the French movie La Haine, but reversed. So you don't follow the criminals, you follow the police officers. So it's a one night movie where you are following these SWAT, special forces police people who are looking for a stolen gun. and it's really good. Like everything about it. It is so dynamic and well shot. This guy is great. He's the one who loses the gun that everyone's looking for. Very dark movie. It takes place during the nighttime, so not that visually stimulating, but very stylistic in its own right. Also, not in a correct alphabetical order nowadays. Right. Then we got Sammo Hung in The Dead and the Deadly. The cover art looks great. The blurb on the back seems like it would be a great, fun movie. But unfortunately, this is one of the weaker Hong Kong movies in my collection. Yes, that is exactly what it looks like it is. Well, there's also another. Let's take a look at this. There you go. Inspection Time. And it's not great, man. I was so disappointed by this movie. It's all over the place. It's also quite short. How long it is? How long is it? 99 minutes? Oh, it felt like 3 hours to getting through it. I remembered it being even shorter, and it being kind of hilarious how long it felt like watching it. Right, and then we have another movie by Johnny To, Throwdown, just a standard edition of this. Not a huge fan of this one. This is probably my least favorite Johnny To movie out of all the ones that I've seen. Obviously, I haven't seen probably even half of his stuff. He has directed a lot of stuff. So, just a bizarre... this movie has a strange style to it that just didn't vibe with me at all. It has a very strange sense of humor. It's difficult to describe. There are 3 characters in it who kind of band together. They're all criminals. And there's just, I don't know. Not a huge fan of it. Moving on. Wild Search by Ringo Lam. Now this one is a great one with Chow Yun-fat in it. And Ringo Lam. I don't think I've seen many movies by Ringo Lam. This one and the... Yeah, I've seen the Van Damme movie, the In Hell or something like that. But yeah, Wild Search. It's your typical Hong Kong. Oh yeah, there's this little girl. It's from this movie. I forgot where I seen this little girl. It's a little girl who speaks on the phone, and he's her grandparents told her that they were going to sell him as a slave. It's a hilarious scene. It's funnier than it sounds. It's actually really funny. Right, and then we have one more Hong Kong movie. Running on Karma. Oh yeah, this is also by Johnny To. Really fun movie. It has Andy Lau in it, in this ridiculous muscle suit. Do we have? Oh yeah, there he is. What a sight to behold. And yeah, I mean, if Throwdown has a bizarre sense of humor and style to it, this one is like 10 times more bizarre, but I kind of enjoyed this one. It is all over the place. Like, the script is not good. It's all over the place. Like the storyline, just the more you watch it, the more you just kind of question everything about it. But it's also hilarious at the same time. All right, then we have one Korean movie, Midnight. This was a positive surprise. This is also a movie in this montage line. But this is by far the best one out of all the ones I've seen from this line. it's this serial killer movie where there's a woman who is deaf, and the serial killer, is trying to catch her. The main actress who plays the deaf girl is incredible. So Midnight is definitely something to keep an eye out for. Also, the main actor, the serial killer guy, this guy, he has been in a ton of movies and TV series. And he's great as well. Right, and then I have two more releases here. These are from Taiwan. So let's start off with Execution in Autumn by Li Xing. Wow, visually incredible movie. And overall a great movie as well. So if you're not familiar with Taiwanese cinema, I mean, this isn't a bad place to start. There's this guy who has been sentenced to death, and it's all about his life in this. I wouldn't call it a prison necessarily. It's just this remote like temple sort of place that he's held in. Well, it's kind of a prison, but there aren't that many prisoners. And yeah, it's a very, very good stuff. It's a very good stuff. That's not English. It is very good stuff. Right, saved it. And then lastly, we have the collection of early Ho Xiao Shen. 3 movies in it. I've seen a bunch of Ho movies. The first 2 of these are quite different from what you would expect from him. Cute Girl is just, it's a throwaway romantic comedy. The Green Grass of Home was a positive surprise for me. Really good vibe. If you're looking for a summer movie, The Green Grass of Home is a good one. It's about a teacher who goes to the countryside to work there during the summer and kind of falls in love with the place. And then you have the first proper Ho movie, The Boys from Feng Kuei, which is your typical Ho stuff, where it's just bleak and miserable about this sort of urban decay. Yeah, great collection and great director. Let's go through this a little bit. My stomach is rumbling, you can probably hear it, so I'll stop here, grab something to eat, and then I'll go through my backlog after that. So that is the first part of my collection of Eureka Blu-rays. Let's take these Jackie Chan movies and move them here on top. And there you go. So yeah, I'll be back in just a second. Well, you'll see the video in a week, but I'll be back in just a second. So see you soon. Bye.